Hello, whisperers. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy tonight's tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps more than you know. Now, dim the lights, and let's begin tonight's story. We left the last town right before dusk. The sky was that soft peach color over North Georgia ridges, and the road turned to gravel that made the cooler in the back rattle like loose teeth. Cody kept thumbing the gas station map like it was a worry coin. Hank had his boots on the dash, talking about quitting the mill and going somewhere with clear water and dumb fish. I was on leave and saying normal things. We'll camp near the river. We'll drink. We'll sleep. You don't sleep on leave. Not really. Your head keeps one ear open like a dog waiting for a door that never opens. We parked off an old fire road where Kudzu tried to eat the sign. The air smelled like iron and creek mud and hot pine. We carried the tent, the little hatchet, the cheap stakes, and the cards down a narrow slope to a flat spot by the river. Somebody had been there before. Stone fire ring, black marks like old eyes. We did camp stuff, tent staked, wood stacked. I showed Hank how to face the door out of the wind. He laughed and said, "Ranger school never leaves you, huh?" I laughed too, and didn't say the part about nothing leaving. We got the fire going, orange wash on faces, bugs doing their spin in the heat. Cody told a story about a waitress in Helen who kept calling him sir even after he spilled his beer. Hank said he'd moved to Florida and fish for a living. He said it like a joke, then didn't smile, so I knew it wasn't one. Night sat down fast. The trees made the sky into strips. Our 2 flashlights were old and already dim like they were tired of being useful. The river whispered in the dark like it was talking behind a door. For a while, the woods sang. Frogs, a whippoorwill, crickets doing their loud choir thing. Then the sound came. I've heard boars. I've heard a cat scream so clean it sounds like a kid. I've heard a man die and make a noise he didn't mean to make. This wasn't any of that. It started like metal being bent, then caught in the middle, like somebody pushed a thumb into hot plastic, then kept rising. It didn't break. It bent and kept going. Everything else quit. Crickets cut off mid-note like someone hit a switch. Cody tried a grin that didn't know how to be on his face. "Cougar," he said. He wanted it to be a cougar so bad I could hear the want. "No," I said. Hank's eyes went wide and tough at the same time, which is a look you see right before someone says they're fine when they aren't. "Teenagers," he said. "Prank." Not a prank. That came out of a throat built wrong. "Could be nothing," I said anyway. I put more wood on the fire like light as a plan. We stayed close to the flames and talked about nothing to keep the world in one piece. The sound didn't come back. The quiet did. When we finally crawled into the tent, Hank handed me the hatchet without speaking. I set my boots by the flap and tried to rest. My body knew better. "Pattern work, the part of me that won't shut up," said in that cheap classroom voice. "Observe, orient, decide, act. OODA. Keep the loop tight." Simple, Something soft stepped near the fire ring, dragged a toe like it was testing. The little hairs on my arms lifted. I smelled cold river and the warm, sour edge of fear that wasn't mine. I didn't remember falling asleep. I remembered waking with my heart already sprinting. The sound came again, closer. It pulled across my teeth like a hot wire. Cody swore. Hank grabbed for the zipper and I caught his wrist. "Slow," I said, slow and quiet. We listened. The fire was embers. The dark beyond the nylon was a mouth. I slid out first, boots and hatchet crouched by the ring. The stars were smeared. The trees leaned in. The river kept whispering. I heard breath, not human breath, wet, too fast, a little click between inhales, like a tooth out of place. Left of me, near the rhodo thicket. "Hey," I said, because that's what you say, if it might be people. "We've got a fire." "We're not." The breath paused. Leaves trembled. I saw a shape low to the ground, wrong low, like elbows where knees should be. My body stepped back before my head chose it. "Inside," I told the guys. "Now, is it a..." Cody started. "Inside." The thing didn't stalk. It poured out of the bush in a blur, pale and black in all angles, on all fours, then up, then down again like joints were ideas, not rules. Eyes took the light and didn't give any back. I threw the hatchet because muscle memory did it for me. It hit with a sound I've only heard once, like wet metal. The shape flinched and made that bending scream, and the fire glowed meaner. Hank grabbed a stove log like a bat. Cody pulled his pocket knife like it had answers. The thing glided sideways, quick, head twitching, sniffing. It moved like a cat on ice. Fast, sure, but wrong. "Truck," I said. "Keys." "In the bag," Hank said, voice turned small without asking me first. We didn't make it to the truck. It lunged at the tent. The nylon jumped. Cody slashed the air, and the air didn't care. The creature hit him low and sharp, shoulder and neck at once, and the sound went through me. It sounded like pulling wet carpet from the floor. One hard yank, and the room isn't a room anymore. Cody went down. His legs kicked once, clean and dumb, like the way a fish kicks after the hook is out. The thing shook him in short, ugly jerks, fast little whoop whoop whoop, like a big dog with a rope, and he went slack. I grabbed his jacket and felt there was nothing solid inside it, like picking up a coat off a hanger. Hank roared. He came in full, brave, both hands on the log. He swung and caught the thing across the face. It turned its head too far, like an owl doing a bad trick. It didn't fall. It made a sound like a fork on a plate and hit Hank in the chest with both hands. Not big hands, just fast. Hank went back over the cooler and the cooler burst. Beer cans rolled, hissing. The thing was on him before a single can stopped spinning. I saw it take him, not slow, not long, fast. It pulled one of his arms like it wanted the sleeve. Then the whole arm came off at the shoulder with that wet carpet sound again, and a pop like a cork. The fire showed white where it shouldn't show white. Hank made a noise that didn't know what it was. The thing buried its mouth where his neck met his chest and shook again. The ground thumped under my knees with each shake. It wasn't gore art. It was function. It was a tool, used hard. Hank's eyes found mine. He tried to say something and nothing came. He looked surprised more than scared, which hurts worse to remember. He was brave. He tried. He tried to push it away with his other hand, and then that hand wasn't a hand anymore. He went still, the way a TV goes still when you pull the plug, without drama, just gone. I heard myself make a sound I didn't know I could make. It tasted like pennies and smoke. The thing lifted its head. Its mouth was wrong, not clean like a movie monster. Chipped, stained, teeth like tools that had hit nails. Strings hung from them and swung in the heat. It clicked its breath again, watching me like it had a broken metronome inside it. "Come on," I said, because my fear had nowhere to go, and words felt like rocks I could throw. It came, fast and low. I got the hatchet back somehow and pushed up hard when it threw itself at me. The blade went under its jaw and stuck. It should have mattered. I felt heat on my wrist. It screamed, high and thin like a teapot in a different room, but not like a thing that dies, like a thing that just found a reason to keep going. I backed toward the fire, dragging it with me on the hatchet for a step before it ripped free. I kicked a log and sparks jumped like bees. The creature flinched, not from pain, but from the light itself. And that told me something I didn't have time to unpack. "Run," I said to nobody living. It circled quick, shoulders rolling under skin that looked tight and shiny, like rope soaked in water under a sheet. It kept low. It twitched like it had too much electricity and no place to put it. We made a slow, ugly dance around the fire ring. Every time I blinked, it moved half the distance. Every time the fire dipped, it moved the other half. The river whispered. The woods held their breath. Cody was a shape wrong by the tent. Hank was a shape wrong by the cooler. I kept my eyes on the mouth and tried not to understand the shapes. It came again. We hit the rocks together. I turned wrong, and my shoulder lit up like someone stuck a nail in a socket. It pinned my wrist with a weight that wasn't heavy but was solid. Its mouth opened and kept opening, like it didn't know how far was too far. I felt the heat of it on my skin and the small, cool click as its breath broke on a bad tooth. I shoved my forearm into its mouth because it was that or my throat. It bit down. The sound in my head turned white like TV snow. "Do not pass out," the radio voice in me said. "Do not." My other hand found a burning stick. I jammed the flame into its face. It shrieked like steam under a metal lid and flinched off. Hair curled. Skin bubbled in small clear blisters that popped and ran. The smell was sweet and rotten at the same time, like syrup burned black. It backed one step, then two, shaking its head hard like a dog trying to get rid of water. It spat my blood in a dark rope that shined and hissed in the coals. Then it crouched again, ready to spring. The fire sagged to red. Our flashlights lay in the dirt, useless. The woods bent closer, like they wanted to see. I was alone with it, and it wanted me. Time stretched out then, thin and mean. The fire was the only thing left that felt alive. Everything else had leaned in to watch. We circled in the red light. I limped and kept the stick out front like a spear. It paced low and quick, a twitch in its shoulder like it had a bad wire under the skin. Every breath came with that little click. Its eyes drank the embers and gave nothing back. "Come on," I said again, stupid and human. It came. I parried with the stick, and the stick went dark. The night moved in a full step. "You're losing lumens," said the useless part of me that does math when it should pray. It fainted left. I moved. It went right, and we collided. It was heavy in a way that didn't match its size, dense like wet sand packed tight. We hit the ground. It was on top, mouth working like it had to chew the space between us before it could chew me. I shoved my forearm into its mouth again, because I had learned one thing at least. It bit down on the same place, and my vision did a strobe thing. Dark, bright, like someone flicked a light switch fast. I heard crunches that belonged to me and kept my teeth shut so I wouldn't bite my own tongue in half. I got a boot up under it and kicked. The skin under my boot felt like a wet rope under plastic. It slid back and then came right back in. I swung the dead stick at its eye. The stick snapped and made no difference except to show me that I didn't have many ideas left. It took my left hand, the empty one, with its own hand. Not claws. Nails thick and cracked, like someone who worked rock. It pushed my hand down into the dirt and leaned on it like it was testing how much give the ground had. My fingers went numb in a line. I couldn't feel my ring finger at all. It went for my throat. I tilted my head and it skimmed my jaw instead. Teeth clicked on bone. The sound was like tapping a spoon on a jar. Hot spit ran into my ear. I thought of dumb things, how Hank said Florida, how Cody said sir, how the mill whistle sounds on a Sunday morning when it shouldn't sound, and they were all the same shape now. I don't know if I said a prayer. I might have said a word that sounded like my mom's name. It didn't matter. The fire cracked and laid down. The red melted into dark. The only light left was the faint smear of the river and the weak shine on its teeth. It reared back for a clean line at my neck. I saw the throat I'd cut under its jaw with the hatchet. It didn't bleed like I understood. It wept a dark jelly that caught light like oil and didn't leak like a person. It smelled sweet and wrong. "Not like this," I said out loud to nobody. It leaned down slow, sure now, like gravity was pulling it to the spot it wanted. Its breath was hot and sweet and sick. I could hear my pulse in my teeth. My forearm slid in its mouth. It bit deeper. I felt something go that had always been there, and my fingers stopped being fingers. I lifted the useless stick like it was going to be a knife. It wasn't. The night held still. It opened wider. I saw far back, too far. I watched its mouth make room for me in a way mouths shouldn't. It touched my throat with a tooth, and I felt the point like a cold star. This is it. The thought wasn't a scream. It was a flat line. And then the world split open. White light hit the trees so hard they turned into cardboard cutouts. Sound slammed in a wall. Shouts I didn't know, boots in leaves, the hot crack of rifles I did know. The creature flinched, flattened, spun to run, and a voice cut clean and calm. "Contain, contain, fire." Thunder. The clearing strobed. The thing jerked and kept moving, twitched and kept moving, then hit an invisible wall of noise and stink when a small canister popped somewhere behind me. The air tasted like hospital and pepper and a battery on your tongue. The creature folded in on itself with a thin scream like steam under a lid. A hand grabbed my jacket and slid me out from under it like I weighed nothing. "Stay down," someone said in a voice built for rooms with no windows. He pushed my head to the dirt, and a medic fell into place like it was choreographed. Tourniquet, pressure, needle. My world turned into a tunnel with a penlight at the end. I saw patches as the men moved, not flags, not rank. A black oval with sharp white letters. FANG. They didn't crowd the thing like drunks in a bar fight. They built a box with their bodies and kept the angles clean. 1 shot, 2, no shouting that wasn't needed. Another canister popped and washed the brush in blue light that didn't look like any light I've camped under. The creature tried to climb that light like it was a ladder and failed. It screamed, and the sound bent again, high and wrong, then chopped off like someone pinched the wire. "Net," someone said. 2 men snapped open a hard case. What came out wasn't rope. It glittered like fishing line and spider silk and something not on the market. They cast it like they'd practiced on a field. It fell over the creature and stuck like it was made of glue and magnets. Every twitch made the mesh flare. Tiny sparks racing, little ants of light. Tape went over its mouth. Tape that wasn't tape. It had threads like hair that made my eyes itch. The thunder calmed. The night remembered it could be night again. Crickets tried a note and then a few more. The river kept whispering the same line it had whispered while my friends died, which made me want to throw it out of the world. The medic checked my pupils and I smacked at his hand because I couldn't handle more light. He didn't mind. He kept talking low, like you talk to a skittish dog. "You're okay," he said. He said it until my hands stopped shaking enough that I could hear my own breath. A man crouched in front of me, not young, not old, clean shave, calm eyes that didn't bounce. He wore the same patch. He looked once, fast, respectful, toward the tent and the cooler, like he knew not to look long. "What was that?" I asked. My voice sounded like it was coming from under a couch. He watched my mouth when I spoke so he could hear me over the ringing. "Different people use different names," he said. "We don't. Keeps us honest. We catalog behaviors and needs. We track loops. We neutralize." "That's a lot of words," I said, because my brain couldn't make the shape of anything larger. My arm throbbed under the wrap. My fingers were there again and not there. He nodded once. "I'm sorry about your friends." "You were close," I said. It wasn't a question. "We were," he said. He didn't flinch. "We missed the intercept." I stared at him because the part of me that likes math wanted to do it. How far? How long? How many beats between that sound and their truck hitting the fire road? It didn't help. Nothing helped. "What do you call it?" I asked, "when you're not being honest?" He thought for a second like words mattered. "Feral type 7. Hemivore. A vampire, if you will. No charm, no language. It hunts like an animal. You camped inside its loop. You knew the loop? We track loops." The calm way he said it made me want to hit him, which told me I wasn't done being a person. I swallowed it because the medic had his hands in my blood and had earned some peace tonight. The creature under the net moved once, small, like a dog dreaming of running. The mesh brightened and it went still. It didn't look like a story. It looked like a mess someone needed to mop. The sweet burnt smell hung around us. It made me think of maple syrup left on a stove too long, and that thought didn't know where to go. You handled yourself, the man said. Kept it in light. That matters. I didn't keep them in the light, I said. He didn't say anything to that. There wasn't a thing to say that wouldn't be a lie. Dawn showed up slow in the trees, pink at first, then gray. The team moved quiet. They packed the creature like a spill, and my friends like men. No jokes, no big words. They covered the fire ring with a tarp and smoothed the ash like a hand over a grave. The night gave the woods back their shapes, and the shapes felt wrong now, like a room after someone moves the couch an inch. The man with the calm eyes sat on the log that used to be ours. He rested his forearms on his knees. We're FANG, he said. Federal Anomalous Neutralization Group. That funny to you? I asked because there was a sharp edge in me that needed somewhere to go. I wish it was, he said, and let it be quiet a few seconds. Your army. On leave, I said. He glanced at my boots, my hands, the way I held my jaw to keep pain from echoing. We could use you. Doing what? Doing what you just did. Only with light on the plan instead of luck. He tapped the patch. Hunting things most folks don't admit exist. Keeping their loops away from campfire rings. I thought of Cody's dumb grin and Hank's not a joke about Florida. I thought of how the creature took them like it was late for a bus. Fast. No drama. Just function. I thought of how I shoved my arm in the mouth because it was that or my throat. You saw the truth, said the quiet part of me. It saw you. What happens if I say no? You go home, he said. You tell a story nobody wants to hear. You drink too much. You see a mouth in your sleep that opens too wide. You jump at every cricket that quits. Or you don't. Maybe you do fine. Maybe not. That your pitch? I asked. It wasn't mean. It was honest. He shrugged a shoulder. We're not salesmen. What happens if I say yes? You come with us. We fix the arm right. You sign papers that don't have real names on them. You learn about loops. You learn what light hurts which thing. You learn where to stand so other people never have to know words like hemovore. I looked past him at the river. It looked the same as last night. It didn't care what it had been next to. That made me mad at it, and then embarrassed for being mad at water. The sky turned more blue than gray. Birds tested the morning. A truck door shut. Someone called ready. Someone answered ready. I need to tell people, I said. His mom. His sister. My mouth felt full of sand. We'll handle contact, he said. A bear went through a camp. A bad accident on a fire road. People know how to hold that kind of story. The other kind breaks things it doesn't have to break. I hated that he was right. I hated that I was already inside the lie with him. I thought of light and how fast it went out last night. I thought of the moment when it touched my throat with one tooth and I knew the line was flat. Yeah, I said. The word was small. It still weighed a lot. Okay. He didn't smile big. He didn't shake my hand like we'd bought a boat together. He just nodded once, like we'd said a simple prayer. Welcome to FANG then, he said, if you want it when you wake up. I let the medic help me into a truck that wasn't ours. I looked once at what was left of camp, the tarp on the ashes, the torn tent like a mouth mid-word, the spot by the cooler where Hank fell, the curve in the dirt where Cody's knife lay with no reason to be there anymore. We jolted up the fire road. The world got wider with every yard. Sun found the tops of the trees. The ridges turned gold on one edge. The radio in the front muttered something full of codes I didn't know yet. "You will," said that cheap classroom voice. "You'll learn the codes. You'll call them by their right names." I didn't say yes out loud a second time. My mouth had run out of words, but I held the man's calm eyes when he looked across the bench at me, and I didn't look away. If you've read this far, that means I did say yes in all the ways that count. We went camping in 1988. The woods made a sound they should not make. Something that hunted like a machine built out of hunger took my friends in the firelight, fast and without mercy. Men with guns and quiet eyes came and named it and wrapped it in light and thread and drove me away from what was left. I don't know if I was saved that night or set on a different kind of fire. I just know that when the woods go quiet now, I count how much light I have, and I look for where the loop goes, and I listen for that little click in the breath. And if you ever hear all the small sounds shut off at once, if the night folds like someone pulled a plug, don't wait to find out what it is. Make more light.